Um, Welcome. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jacob Wood. I am a candidate for my Master's of School Administration, and today I'm going to be presenting my analysis and action plan for teacher leadership at South Garner High School. Um, I'm going to go over the team researches into our best practices, data gathering tools and the data we gathered, the gap analysis that was completed by myself and my PLC, and the action plan we came up with in order to address our areas of shortcoming. Um, my PLC was made up of myself, move so everybody can see, Mr. Wallace, Ms. Gherkin, and Ms. Pearson, including their roles. And moving into research for best practices. To build efficacy and empowerment among staff, I reviewed the works of Bandera, Woodcock et al., Lee and Nee. And what they basically said is that when you have a staff that is empowered and believes in themselves and believes in the mission of the school, that the school is successful. And it is the burden of the administrator to go through and the administrative team to ensure that teachers feel empowered. And it's relatively not simple to do, but it's something that with just minor adjustments seems to be very powerful amongst the culture and community building in the school. Next is results-oriented professional development. With it, I rely heavily on Darling, Hamlin, and McLaughlin, and they just talked about the requirements of PD, what it should be. It should be collaborative, grounded in inquiry, connected with the work we do, our teachers do with students, and it should be sustained and ongoing. Recruitment, placement, and monitoring of staff. This is something that in this current political climate, cultural climate, economic climate is going to be interesting to say the least. Looking at the fact that with a shared instructional vision, when the teachers know what's going on, the teachers can be great recruiters. And the research shows that mentoring, while it is the dominant form of teacher induction in the education system, is very effective to producing quality teachers. Looking at evaluations, what the research shows is that since really No Child Left Behind, evaluations have centered around test scores, and a lot of community or a lot of districts are trying to ensure that test scores are a useful tool in these teacher evaluations. However, with scheduling and not knowing what students are placed where, one year a teacher could be top 3% in their school, and the next year they could be in the bottom 20%. So that makes the use of test scores as a punitive measure in evaluations very difficult. And lastly is teacher leadership and decision making. Just making sure that while schools are reluctant to change based on the number of people involved, as well as the size of organizations, especially like Wake County Public Schools, if teachers have buy-in into the process, then they will ensure that decisions get made. So to go through and facilitate this presentation, I gathered data using the Survey for Best Practices for Teacher Empowerment and School Leadership. This is based off of the work of an author named Whitaker. His most recent update was published in 2020. These 5 questions were sent to the entire staff, and the raw results are here. Teacher input on professional development offerings, 40% yes. Teacher plays a role in the development of the school improvement plan, 72% yes. Teacher playing a role in setting school-wide policy, 36% yes. Teacher input in the development or management of the budget, 6%. And teacher playing a role in the hiring process, 32%. As well as the survey, I conducted walkthroughs using the Lever 2 walkthrough tool, focusing on engagement and interaction, as well as critical thinking and engagement or and analysis skills for students. Um, the majority of standard 2.1 and 2.3 was 50% yes, except for 2.1, where teachers monitor with conversation, writing, or thinking using responses to inform their instruction. 2.2 and 2.4 was majority no outside of 2.2 and 2.4. Teachers using visual supports and structured writing. Observing inquiry, no Socratic seminars were observed. There was project-based learning and critical thinking happening. I did not see any peer editing in the 6 walkthroughs that I conducted. The same holds true with group projects and role-playing in the collaboration. There was a modicum of peer review work, collaboration going on that way, and there were peer talks occurring in 50% of the classes. Meeting with my PLC and sharing with them the data from the school improvement plan, based on teachers' feelings on input for professional development offerings. 42 of the 69% of or 69 staff members who completed the survey said that they did not have input on the professional development. This would indicate there is a gap in teacher input on professional development. For teacher playing a role in the development of the school improvement plan, 19 teachers said they did not have input. This would indicate that there is not a major gap, and I will address that later on. Teachers playing a role in setting a school-wide policy, the number of no is 44, not 14. That indicates there is a gap in the area of teachers helping to set school-wide policy. Teacher input on the development and management of the budget, 65 teachers said no, that they do not have input on the budget. And teachers playing a role in the hiring process, 47 teachers said that they did not have a role. We have gaps in 4 of the 5 of these areas, and with my PLC, we developed a plan to address this. In the short term, things we can do by the end of the current school year. Some things include sharing of our best PD practices by department. This is happening already. It is wonderful work that I have seen that has been shared in the weekly newsletter. I know there is a budget town hall planned for this afternoon. That is another opportunity that when it's done, even if teachers don't have direct input on how dollars and cents are spent, they understand where they go, and knowledge is power. I believe that reintroducing the purpose of the committees, the school improvement committees, which can be done at our next committee meeting, will offer an opportunity to go through and allow teachers to understand that the school improvement committees is in fact their voice in helping set school-wide policy, and to improve the numbers with the school improvement plan, ensuring that there is an end-of-year school improvement survey that can be used to develop next year's school improvement plan or any changes that are made to this year's plan moving forward. In the first semester of the next school year, to open the year, we can present a survey of PD opportunities, knowing that Wake County Public Schools will go through and dictate what PD they deem necessary, as well as the PD necessary to continue in our progress in becoming an AVID school. The creation of an interview committee, not necessarily to conduct interviews, but to understand and identify what staff in the building are looking for, as well as understanding what questions are asked and the answers that administration is looking for. That can meet quarterly, ensuring that the school improvement committees, the purpose of each committee is truly explained and the staff understand their purpose. And again, that is their opportunity in developing school policy. A school improvement plan beginning of the year presentation. I know this year it was presented and we were given the opportunity to vote, but sometimes people forget in March what happens in August. I believe that conducting a budget town hall, if applicable, could be done once a semester, even if it were just a minor part of a staff meeting. especially in the turbulent times that we have experienced over the last 6 weeks or so. And I believe that conducting this teacher empowerment survey again in the fall semester of 25-26 will allow administration the opportunity to go through and address areas that they deem necessary, knowing that 25-26 is a teacher working condition survey year. By the end of the 25-26 school year, ensuring once a semester that the school improvement plan committees are aware of their purpose and role in the teacher leadership aspect. If possible, conducting another budget town hall, and a survey of available PD opportunities that might be presented in the next school year. We do have the teacher working conditions survey, which will outline teachers' thoughts moving into the 26-27 school year. And to present this, this is the table and chart that I put together as part of my writings. This is the first half of it, breaking down everything I have spoken about. And here is part 2, looking at increasing our gap areas between 10 and 20% in all 5 categories would go a long way to empowering teachers. At this point in time, that's what I've prepared based on the input of my PLC. I'm welcome any questions that there might be, any feedback from any parties.
How many teachers completed your survey?
We had 69 teachers complete the survey. So out of the roughly 120 I sent that to, not quite 70%. I would love to have seen 80% because 80% is when you really get into the actual valid data, looking at research. But based off of 120, roughly the number of teachers in the school to the 69 that completed it.
Were those the 100 and so TAs filled it out as well?
I sent it to the all staff email to ensure the most equitable access.
Yeah, so you could have some TAs in there as
I
well,
could.
not just teachers. Okay.
Just because I don't have access to go through and put together a list to send only to teachers. But understanding that, yes, there might be some TAs in there that could go through and greatly impact some aspects.
Mm-hmm. I think those are some things to consider. Your TAs, counselors, clerical staff. I mean, there may be some, um,
And that would impact hiring. That would impact the school improvement plan, and
right,
it
right,
might actually make that number better as far as the percentages. Yes, 72% is strong, but
right.
yeah, and I will include that in my writing that you brought up that point. I hadn't had that thought about that data point.
Oh yeah, just some things to consider.
No, absolutely. I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there could be a few other points, and sometimes ensuring teacher awareness. Because all interviews that we have, our department chair, sits on the interview, but everyone may not know that because our department chair does, who's on the school improvement team, but that would not apply maybe to some individuals that have filled that out. And so there's obviously in all data, all right, not just this data,
Right.
but in all data, there's some points to consider. And so I wanted to make sure we just kind of highlighted some points to consider. It doesn't
Absolutely.
necessarily mean that it would change the data much, but there could be some factors.
And working here and having worked here, I feel like knowledge, understanding a little bit of the thought process would go through greatly and clear up any of the misconception or a lot of the misconceptions that people may have.
Right.
And again, things that happened in August in the mind of teachers in March is a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
they
yeah.
may not remember that we did what we did when we did it. That's
Sure.
why I think if knowing especially that next year is a school or a teacher working condition survey year might be a good opportunity to remind people what actually happens instead of
Mhm.
just doing it and forgetting it.
Right.
So,
That's all I have.
well, I appreciate the opportunity to present this. And I will keep everybody in the loop as far as what my next steps are. Mr. Faison, Ms. Pearson, Mr. Wallace, thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful day.